Carrie Anne, thank you for taking the time to chat with us today. If you will go ahead and just tell us a little bit about what your job title is, what you do here at Rape Response, how long have you been with us, and then talk to us about your kind of career path getting here.
Okay, so I'm an educator with Rape Response, and we spend time in middle schools and high schools in a 6-county area. And really, my job is about getting kids empowered through education because, you know, I want kids to make smart, safe, and healthy choices because of the knowledge that they have. So that's really what I do every single day is I go in classrooms and just try to give kids information that's accurate and that's relevant so that they have the knowledge that they need to manage their risk well and to make their own choices, smart, safe, and healthy choices. So that's what I do. I've been with Rape Response about 5 years. This May was my anniversary for 5 years. So I think this is actually my 6th, going into my 6th school year. So it's a long time. And my career pathway is kind of not a straight line. I started college and I was an early childhood education major. And I really loved all of the cool developmental stuff that I learned in college, the child psychology and the physiological development of young people and that sort of thing. But I quickly realized that I really did not want to be a small children's classroom teacher. So I embarked on a journey to try and change that to middle grades education. However, when I went into the the counselor's office or whatever they call it at college, we realized that I didn't have the right prerequisites because it was a different foreign language for early childhood than it was for middle grades. So they said, hey, you can graduate on time if you get a business degree. So I decided that since I didn't want to be a small children's classroom teacher and it would be really time prohibitive to get into middle grades education, I switched at that time to be a business major. So I left, I graduated from college and I immediately got a corporate job at an oil company and I really, really hated it. I did not stay there long and I quit it very quickly. And after that, I went into children's ministry. So I worked for a couple of years, primarily working in the faith-based community with kids and with young people in youth and children's ministry. And I really, really enjoyed that because it was a great way to, be involved with kids, but I wasn't responsible for their daily educational. I was just able to be really relational with kids. I was able to form relationships and impact their lives. And it was something I really, really enjoyed. And then I actually met my husband while I was in ministry. He was a bus driver on a youth retreat. And the kids gave me a lot of grief about marrying the bus driver, but that's the way it worked out. And we had kids right away. And so I stayed home with my older children for a while. And then we had twins later on. And so after the twins were born, I was really ready to sort of do something that was impactful and that was intellectually challenging, but still maybe not be a regular 9-to-5 kind of job. And my neighbor was on the board for Rape Response. And she said, hey, I know about this opportunity and I think you'd be great at it. And so I got in touch with the folks there and I interviewed with Jeannie and they thought, hey, I think you'll be a good match too. So that's kind of where it began. And 5 years later, it's one of the coolest things I've ever gotten to do.
That's really cool. So definitely, like you said, that journey has not been linear, but it kind of seems like you have always wanted to do something with like middle grades and high school. Would you say that your time kind of away from that career field really kind of made you see that that was where you wanted to be, even if it wasn't as, like you said, a 9-to-5 all day like teacher job?
I think yes, and especially as my own children approached that age, I realized what a really cool age it is. It's fascinating to me to watch people become, functioning adults, and that's a long process, and it starts, around 6th, 7th grade. And it's just really cool to watch them blossom into these really neat people. And of course, they're like, baby deer. They're stumbling along trying to figure it out. But along the way, they're really funny and they're really clever. And so I think my own children, especially, I always knew that youth were my, where I wanted to have those real impactful relationships. But when my own kids got to be that age, I was like, yeah, this is the good stuff. This is where it's at. So that was kind of the realization for me, was when my own kids started hitting those ages.
That's really cool. So what would you say is your favorite part of your job? I know you've kind of touched on that a little bit, but kind of expand on that a little.
Well, I think my favorite part is that um, I get to be like the fun aunt. I am not their classroom teacher, so I am not responsible for really their behavior or their grades. I get to come in and we get to, we have a lot of laughs, we're fun, we're interactive, but I'm also communicating something that they really need to know, and something that's going to have an impact on the rest of their lives. So it's like I get to be the fun aunt, but I also get to be the one that's really giving them what they need to succeed in life.
I think the fun ant analogy is it pretty well sums it up. You know, like you said, you get to come in and you do get to portray this super important information to them, but you do get to do it in a way that is fun, it's interactive. You know, you don't have to
Right.
be the one that's, make sure that you're sitting in your desk or make sure
Right.
that you're doing this. You just get to come in and kind of like you wanted to do, build those relationships. So that's really awesome. So, what advice would you give to somebody if they are looking to go into this career field? If they are looking at becoming either an educator like what you do, or just looking to go into any kind of, I guess, education or nonprofit work, what advice would you give to them?
I think that no matter what your track coming into things, it's really important that you have a good base knowledge of, child development and what teenagers are capable of, because it's really easy to overestimate their abilities. It's really easy to underestimate their abilities. So being educated about, where their brains are, where their emotions are, that sort of thing, and just staying current with that, because we know better, we do better. Most sciences are not static. We learn more, and education is really a science. So, staying current, reading, even outside of your formal education, just making sure that you're constantly absorbing knowledge. And the same thing with a nonprofit. I have learned so much in the last 5 years about, the law and how the law works and how it's applied and how the court system works. And that is something that I constantly seek out, because it directly impacts my ability to function in the classroom. So just constantly absorbing knowledge is the ideal for everybody.
Well, Carrie Anne, thank you so much for taking that time to talk with us today. I think that this was definitely really helpful, and I think it really will show people, the vastness and the different directions that people can take. Definitely highlighting again how important it is just to make sure that you keep learning about the things around you. I know that I can relate with that, especially with like the laws and with current technology, things are often changing. Every day there's a new app out there, or something very easily could change within the law. And your job is so important because it makes sure that kids are aware of these ever changing things. And, sixth, seventh, eighth grade, even high school, you're kind of, like you said, baby deer starting to stumble, coming into your own. And it's so important that, we understand the consequences of those actions. There are good decisions, there are bad decisions. And I think it's so important what you're doing and how you're sharing all of that information with them. So thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us today and tell us a little bit about your journey.